Alright, so welcome back to the last concept of chapter 8 here. Here, 8.3, where we are going to be looking at perpetual inventory moving average. Okay, so in this case, let's take a look. What is moving average? Well, it's very similar to weighted average, except there's one thing that you're going to be constantly doing. Okay. Now, in this case, the formulas are all the same except for one. Okay? Instead of solving for a cost per item, you are going to be solving for the average cost per item. Okay? Now, in this case, the difference between a cost per item and an average cost per item is you are going to be tallying up your totals at all times, right? Getting your total cost, and you're going to divide it by your total quantity. Because in this case, right, when we deal with moving average, we don't care which batch came first or which batch came last. We only care about one thing, and that's spreading the cost evenly amongst the items that we purchase. Okay, so that means we are, even if they're really priced really high or really priced really low, we're trying to find something that is in between, right? Right in between, so we don't get too much of a profit and we don't take too much of a loss. So in this case, we're finding the perfect price point in the middle. So in this case, that's what we're going to be constantly doing, is we're going to be constantly calculating our average cost per item. Everything else is the same. Okay, so let's take a look at an example here, right? June 1st, you purchase 100 toys at $1.25 with a freight of $25. Okay, so here, right, we plug in our example. Since usually this is the first inventory that we purchase, right, you're always going to calculate your cost per item here because it's the only batch of inventory that you have. So in this case, your average cost is going to be your cost per item for the first batch of inventory. So again, we go through the standard steps again, solve for your purchase price. So 100 times $1.25 gives you $1.25, plus 25 gives you a total cost of $1.50. And then again, we need to solve for our average cost per item, which in this case, since I only have my first batch of inventory, I'm going to take my $1.50 divided by 100, and that will give me $1.50. Okay. So then I make so I sell my items. I sell 55 of them, right? So that's, since I only have one batch of inventory, my average cost right now is currently $1.50. So I need to go ahead and take that because that's the only batch I have left, or only batch I purchased, right? So therefore, that's the only one I can sell at $1.50. So there we go. And then I subtract it out, and then now I'm at 45 units, still at $1.50 for $67.50. Okay. So then let's see what happens when I actually purchase new inventory. How does that affect my total cost and my total quantity? Well, if you purchase more items, in this case, we purchase 100 more toys at $1.28 with a freight of 26. Here you go. I pop it in here. Now I'm adding 100 units to my pile here, but I'm going to go ahead and calculate it first, and then I'll talk about the average cost in a bit. So in this case, 100 times $1.28 will give me $1.28 as a purchase price, plus 26 will give me $1.54. Now, this is where, do I need to solve for my cost per item? No, not for this batch of inventory. Why? Because we don't care to keep the batches separate. We care about tallying up our totals and then solving for our average cost per item. So in this case, I need to stop for a second and say, well, now I have 45 left over. I just purchased 100 units, so therefore I now have a total of 145 units. I started out with $67.50, and I just purchased a batch for $154, so now I have a grand total of $221.50. Now I can solve for my average cost per item because now I I combined the units, and now I have my grand total, and now I'm going to spread the cost evenly through amongst every single item that I currently have. So in this case, I'm going to take my $221.50 and divide it by my 145, and I get an average cost of $1.5275. Now think about it. You have a price point, one at $1.50 and one at $1.54. What's in the middle? $1.52. But in this case, it's because of the cents that were left over, is why it's now $1.5275. Okay? So then, if you ever to sell my items, then I have to use the average cost per item. Okay, so in this case, much more easier. So then what happens when I add an additional 100 toys at $1.30 with a freight of 27? Well, same thing. You're going to plug it in here. You're going to get your totals here and here. And then again, you don't solve for your average. You don't solve for your cost per item here. You solve for the average cost. So you need to add your units up together. So now I have 245 units grand total at a grand total cost of $378.50. Now I need to solve for my average cost per item, and that's going to give me $1.5448. So that is where the difference is here. Is you are constantly calculating your average cost per item. Okay? So then now that I have 245 units available to sell, then I go ahead and sell 120 toys. So in this case, there you go. I put 120. My average cost per item right now is $1.5448. So therefore, I'm going to put that there and calculate what that cost is. So that gave me $185.39. So you're going to subtract that out. So now you have 125 units left at $193.11, which you're going to also once again recalculate that average cost, because you're using rounded numbers, you're taking 39 cents out. Okay? And that's going to come out of your coins here. So then you're going to recalculate that. And right now, it's roughly the same price. Okay. All right. And of course, that's the end of this scenario here. Now, what happens when you have beginning inventory? Well, this one's easy because all you have to do is just transfer the amount over into your inventory on hand. So you're going to transfer the entire amount because, again, the idea that we don't care which batch came first and which batch came last, we decided to combine everything together. You're also going to transfer everything all together. Therefore, the 125 units at that $193.11 at $1.5448. Okay. Then you're going to continue the process. So here you sold 90 toys. Okay, so $1.5448, which will give you $139.04. You're going to subtract that out. So then now you have 35 units left at $54.07 left, and you're going to recalculate that, and you're still at $1.5448. Okay. Now, yes, you do have a possibility where this average cost per item can change depending on what it is. So again, especially because again, if you have a split penny going on, that is what's going to change your average cost. So again, keep that in mind. So then we end up purchasing another 100 toys, okay, at $1.32. Okay, so you're going to plug it in just like that. You're going to calculate 132 plus 26 will give you 158. And then again, you're going to combine the two to get 135 total quantity at a grand total cost of $212.07. And then you're going to resolve your average cost once again to now get $1.5708. And of course, you make another purchase again for 100 toys for $1.35. So again, recalculate everything. So now you have 235 units available to sell at a grand total cost of $374.07, which is going to give you now an average cost per item of $1.5917. So now what happens when I end up selling my my units, 120. So if I sold 120 units, right, my average cost right now is $1.5917. Right? I go ahead and calculate that. That gives me $191.01, which is going to get me left over 115 units at $183.06. I still need to recalculate my average cost. And this time, my average cost went up by a thousandth of a penny. Okay? It went from 0.17, now it's 0.18. Why? Because your numbers are constantly changing, especially when you're using rounded numbers. It's constantly trying to figure out what the midway point is. So in this case, my average cost increased by I think a hundredth of a penny, excuse me. So then now let's go ahead and see what happens next when I sell my last batch for 65. So again, now I put that average cost, the new average cost, because it's at 1.5918 this time. And that's going to give you a total of 103.47. You subtract that out. Now you have you have 50 units left at a total of $79.59. And then once again, you're going to make sure that that average cost has not increased or decreased. So in this case, you're still at 15918. Okay? And you reach the end of your accounting period here, so you're at 50 units left remaining. Okay? So chapter review. So again, we talked about all the different costing methods that we experienced, right? So again, periodic and perpetual, right? It's just how you keep track of it, but the costing methods are going to be the same, right? The idea, the concept behind it is the same. So we talked about FIFO, right? FIFO is where you're constantly calculating your cost of goods sold by using and selling your first batch of inventory first. So you're going to slowly start from your top and slowly make your way down to the bottom, okay? Whereas LIFO, you are constantly, every single time you make a purchase of inventory, you're constantly starting from the bottom and you're slowly making your way up to the top. So every purchase that you make that's new, you immediately go right back to the bottom, the most recent purchase, and you start costing those ones out first. Okay? Excuse me. So therefore, that's why in this case, you're not always starting at the bottom. You're constantly moving all the way from the bottom and making your way up slowly to the top. And then for your average cost per item, for your moving average, you're constantly calculating your average cost per item because every single time you make a purchase of inventory, you're getting a grand total cost and a grand total quantity. So you need to find and divide and spread that cost evenly amongst the items that you have. So you're calculating your average cost per item, and then that reflects here in your cost of goods sold. But however, every time you sell an item, right, you're constantly calculating that number as well. So in this case, you're finding the midway point between selling your products and costing them. Okay, so that's what moving average does. Okay. All right, so let's dive right into the chapter 8.3 exercise here. Okay, so in this case, here you go. Let's see right here. Question number 1 says your inventory method is perpetual and it's moving average. So here, May 5th, we end up purchasing 1,000 units at $3 each with the freight costing you $100. So this is where I'm going to start dropping the colors because in this case, we don't need to have any colors because we're going to take the average of every single one, right? So in this case, there's no need to keep track of which batch came first and which batch came last, right? So in this case, May 5th, we purchased 1,000 units at $3 each with a freight of 100. So in this case, what is my purchase price here?
Purchase is 3,000.
Purchase is 3,000. Okay, plus my total, plus my freight.
It'll be 3,100.
Okay. So then what, since my first batch of inventory, what would technically be my average cost per item?
$3.10.
$3.10. Good. Okay. Now, this is how I'm going to transfer over into my inventory on hand. I'm going to keep my quantity, and I'm going to keep my quantity, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to also keep my total cost. Okay? Why? Because in this case, right, what are we constantly calculating? Our average cost per item. So in this case, I'm going to put my formula here where every single time I'm going to calculate this, I'm going to be solving for my average cost wherever I am. So in this case, right, I'm going to take my 3,100 divided by 1,000. That should give you your 310. Okay? So we're going to actually watch how your average cost per item will increase and decrease over a span of time, right? As we go through our purchases and things like that, okay? Okay, so that was my very first purchase here. So let's see what happened next. You end up selling 550 units. Okay. May 7, you sold 550 units. Right now, what is my current average cost per item? Right, $3.10. Right, I only have one batch of inventory. So in this case, what is my grand total cost of goods sold? How much did it cost me to sell 550 units at $3.10?
$1,705.
$1,705. So again, all of this is the same because we only have one batch of inventory. Right? So in this case, right, we know what we need to do. Now, in this case, instead of eliminating things from my inventory on hand, I'm going to go ahead and do the calculation straight across. So in this case, right, if I started out with 1,000 units and I sold 550, how much should I have left?
450.
You should have 450, right? Same thing here. If I started out with 3,100 and I sold $1,705, how much should my new total cost be? How much should I have left over?
1,350.
195.
Yeah.
Yes. So in this case, now that's what I mean by leaving this calculation right here in the middle. So now, again, I need to solve for my average cost per item. So I'm going to take my $13.95 and I'm going to divide it by 450 and I still get $3.10. Okay? Now,
You awake?
we're looking at this and now we're thinking, okay, well, how am I, what's going on? Now, because I cell reference this, I can't remove that 1,000 right there, okay? Because then it affects my whole entire table. So what can I do? Because I don't have 1,000 anymore. I have now 450, right? We already took it out and calculated it right here. So what am I going to do? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide it, okay? So in this case, I'm going to block it off, okay? Because I cell referenced it. So if I were to make any changes to that section right there, it could do a chain reaction and ruin my entire worksheet. So in this case, I block it off so I don't accidentally click on the wrong number. And here, now I'm showing what I actually still have on hand. So in this case, I have 450 units currently right now at $3.10, which cost me $1,395. Okay? So let's see what happens when I make a purchase of inventory. So in this case, on May 10, we end up purchasing 850 units at $3.25 with a freight of 75. Okay, so May 10, right? We purchased 850 units at $3.25 with a freight of 75. Okay. So what's my total purchase price here?
2,762.50.
All right, plus my freight of 75.
2,837.50.
Good. Now in this case, I do not need to suffer my cost per item because now what happened? I increased my inventory. So what am I going to be doing here? Well, if I started out with 450, I'm going to add my 850. So how much is that? How much do I have now?
1,300.
You have 1,300 units, okay? Let's do the same thing here. If I started out with $1,395 and I just purchased an additional $2,837.50, what's my new grand total here?
4,232.50.
Good. And so then now I have my grand totals, right? So what is my new average cost per item? If I need to now calculate $4,232.50, and I need to divide that over across 1,300 units. What is? Go ahead.
3.25576.
Good. And that I'm just going to go ahead and copy that all the way down. Okay. So then now I no longer need this 450 because I don't have that anymore. I have 1,300 now. So that's how we're gonna be doing the moving average, because in this case, much more easier, much more feasible. So let's see what happened next. Okay. So then you end up selling 360 units. Okay. So let's go ahead and calculate that on May, I think that was May 12th, right?
Silly.
May 12th, you end up selling 360 units. Okay, so in this case, right, if we sold 360 units, what is my current average cost per item?
3.2557.
Good. So in this case, I need to calculate what my grand total cost of goods sold is.
Okay, that would be 1,172.5.
Oh, wait.
Oh, okay. I'm missing something.
Yeah. Okay, so in the end, excuse me, rule of thumb here is that if you are trying to calculate on a calculator, go to at least 6 decimal places after. So 6 numbers after the decimal. And it will give you
Okay.
it will give you the most up like rounded number. So in this case,
Okay.
117208.
Yeah.
Okay. So same thing now. I need to recalculate that. So if I have 1300 and I sold 360, how many units should I have left?
940.
940. If I started out with $4,232.50 and I just sold 117208, how much should I have remaining?
3,060 and 42 cents.
Good. So again, because I copied my formula all the way down, it is still, the average cost is still about roughly the same, right? It's still 3.25577. So no changes there. Okay? Or not much change there. Okay? Now, of course, you wouldn't see a drastic change. You wouldn't see like a whole entire penny, right? For instance, right? You wouldn't see that kind of drastic change. You will only see like maybe 1,000th of a penny that's different. Now, if you're selling 1,000 of these items, yes, it does make a difference. Okay, but if you're only selling like 1 or 2 of them, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, does not make a difference. Okay, but again, what kind of business are you if you aren't selling thousands of items? Okay.
A very good one.
Exactly. So in this case, there you go. So now we have 940 units available to sell. So let's see what's next here. It is now May 15. You end up selling another 600 units. So what's my average cost right now? It's still that 3 point, but in this case it's this 3.25577. So in this case, what is my new cost of goods sold if I sold 600 units at 3.25577?
1,935 and 35 cents. Oh, nope, I got a different one, but
Okay, so again,
$100. Oh, I did the one above it.
okay.
Nope, I still got the same thing. That's
Okay.
weird.
So remember, six. You have to do 6 numbers. So in this case, I only have 5 displaying right now.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah. So yeah. Let me expand it so we don't make that mistake again. So we want 6 decimal places. Will give you the more accurate answer. So in this case, I got it's actually 255,766. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and calculate that now. I don't have 940 anymore, right? I have
1953.46.
1953.46. Good. So in this case, right, I sold 600 units. So therefore, if I started with 940 minus 600, you're going to get 340. Okay. And then now we need to recalculate this because now I'm at 360.42 minus 1953.46. So how much should I have left?
1,106 and 96 cents.
1,000. Yes, exactly what you just said. So then now I can recalculate my average cost and look at the difference. Here it now dropped by, what is that? 10,000th of a penny, right? Now it's 3.25576 now instead of 66. So that's what I meant. Now, of course, if I unveil this, you're going to see how the difference has changed, right? You're seeing how your inventory is starting out. We started out with 1,000, then we reduced it, then we increased it, then we reduced it, then we reduced it, and look at what my averages look like. So they're dropping, dropping, dropping. Some of them are increasing. So that's what I mean by keeping a track record of this. But this is what I mean by having to constantly be calculating the average cost, because every purchase will affect your inventory. Every sale will affect your inventory. Okay? So there you go. All right, and then I can go ahead and hide this one right here, this 940, because I don't have that anymore. I only have 340 available. So then let's see what happened next. Then May 20th, we end up purchasing 300 units at $350 with a freight of 20. So 300, 350, and 20. May 20th, 300 at 350 with a freight of 20. So what's my total purchase price here?
1,050.
Okay, plus 20,
1,070.
1,070. Now, because I have new inventory, I need to add it up. So in this case, 340 plus 300.
640.
You don't know.
Now you have 640. Then you have 1106.96 plus 1070. Right? We'll give you now $2,176.96. So then now, like I mentioned before, I copied the formula down so it's automatically calculating for me. It's taking the $2,176 and dividing it by the 640 units. So now, because I purchased my inventory at a higher price, right? The previous one I purchased it at $3.25. Now I purchased it at $3.50. It spiked up my average cost because now I have a higher expense or a higher purchase, so I need to spread it evenly through the total number of items I have, which in this case, so that's why it jumped up 15 cents. So now it's at $3.41.5. Okay. All right, so let's see what happened next. Okay. So then now, right, we end up selling 450 units. Okay. So on May 22nd, we end up selling 450 units. Okay. Now, at what new average cost now? Since I just made a purchase of inventory, I have a new average cost, right? It's now $3.40. So now, what is my grand total cost of goods sold here?
1,530.68.
Good. So then,
Yeah, it's a baby.
so in this case, since we sold 450,
190.
we have 190 units left.
646.
Good. 646.28. And my average, wow, look here now. It dropped by 3/1000th of a penny.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, if you're selling by thousands of units, that 3/1000th of a penny makes a difference, because you would luck out on $3 of profits if you rounded too early. Okay. So again, very, very important that you do know this. This is definitely for your costs for managing your business, right? You definitely don't want to sell your stuff too low, but then again, you don't want to also luck yourself out at the profits either. Okay? All right, so let's see what is next. Okay, so here you end up purchasing 650 units at $3.75 each, and you have the freight of 50. Okay. Okay. So you purchased 650 units at $3.75 with a freight of 50. So 650, 375, and 50 on May 25th. 650, 375, and 50. So what's my total purchase price here?
2,437.50.
Good. Plus 50.
2,000.
2,487.50.
Good. So then let's add up our totals.
And 3,133.78. Hi, baby. Sweetheart.
Okay, so then now my new average cost has changed, right? Because we made a purchase, right? So let's hide this up right here. Okay.
Oh, you want to drive it?
So then now let's see what happened next. Okay. Then we end up selling 740 units, leaving us 100 units left behind on May 31st. Okay. So let's go ahead and sell that real quick. So May 27. Okay. 740 units. So in this case, my new average cost is
7,400.
7,400. Yep, at what? The new 3.73, right? So in this case, what is my total cost here?
$2,760.71.
Mm-hmm. So then now, right, 840 minus 740 will give you your exact 100.
$373.07.
373.07. Good. Okay. All right. And that's that first part there. Okay. So now, right now, I'm done with this one here. So let's see what happens when I do the second scenario, right? Now it says here that you're going to continue from above, and your inventory method is perpetual, and it's moving average. So in this case, right, we already know that on May 31st you had a total of 100 units, right? We just solved for it. So we're going to carry that entire 100 units into our new inventory worksheet, okay? And then we're going to start on June's purchases right after. So in this case, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy over. So here's the new inventory worksheet. Okay. It is May 31st. Okay. We have a total of 100 units at a, oops, wrong column. 100 units at a total cost of right, $373.50. 307. And again, you're going to recalculate your formula once again in your average cost per item. So right now, it says that it is right now $3.73 each. Okay. And we'll go ahead and go like this, and we'll stretch it out. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, perfect. 6 numbers. Okay. So that's the first thing that we have here is we carried over our inventory on hand. Okay. So here, now we are on June 5th. We purchased 800 units at $4 each with a freight of $100. So June 5th, we purchased 800 units at $4, and we have the freight of $100. So in this case, what is my total purchase price?
3,200.
Right, 3,200 plus 100.
3,300.
3,300. So now we need to change this because now I have a new batch of inventory. So I should have now what?
900.
You should have 900 left, or 900 units right now, right?
Right.
At a new total cost of
3,067,307.
So now grand total $4.08 and 11.89. Right? So I'm gonna hide this because I don't want to accidentally click on it. So then let's see what happened next. So here it is June 5th. Purchase, June 7th, we end up selling 350 units at $10.50 each. Okay, so in this case, we sold 350 units. So here you go. June 7, 350 units. Right now, my average cost is $4.08.11. So what is my grand total cost of goods sold?
1,428.42.
Good. So then we're going to have to subtract that out from my inventory on hand. Okay.
550. 842 and 2,244.65.
Good, excellent. Okay. All right, so let's see. Let's keep on going. So we end up purchasing on June 10, 750 units at $4.25 with a freight of 75. 750, 425, 75. Oops, 750, 425, freight 75. So in this case, purchase price.
$31.87.50.
31.87.50. Okay. Plus 75.
326 $3,262.50.
Good. So let's add our numbers up together. So, because I just made a purchase. So now, how many items do I have now?
$12.90.
550 plus 750.
Oh. 1,300.
1,300 even. And then you can add up your cost here. Okay. You'll get $5,507.15. So therefore, your new average cost has spiked up, right? Because again, we end up purchasing our inventory at a higher price, right? The previous one was at $4. This one's at $4.25. So in this case, your average cost will increase. Okay. So then I can go ahead and hide this. Okay. And then let's go ahead and see what happened next. Okay. Then you end up selling another 500 units on June 15. Oh, wait, hold on. Ooh, I skipped one by accident. So it's June 12th. We sold 450 units. Okay, so I skipped one. So in this case, June 12th, we sold 450 units. Then June 15th, we sold 500. Okay. So June 12th, sold 450 units. My average is this 42362. So in this case, what is my grand total cost of goods sold?
$1,906.32.
Good. Okay, so we're going to subtract that out.
850.
850, excuse me. Minus the 1906.
$3,683.
Good. So your average is almost the same. It's off by 2,000th of a penny. 20,000th of a penny. Okay. Okay. And then we end up selling on June 15 another 500 units. So what's my total cost of goods sold here?
$2,118.36. Oh, 14. Oh, I only did 5 numbers again, I think. It's 300. 350.
It's okay, don't worry about it.
82.69. Oh, good, I got that one.
Now, as you can see, whoa, this dropped another 20,000th of a penny.
Kiddo.
Okay. All right, so let's continue on. So let's see what happened next. So you end up on June 20th purchasing 600 units at $4.05 each with a freight of 20. 600, 405, and 20. I think it's 620. Oops. 620, we end up purchasing 600 units at 405 with a freight of 20.
2,430. 2,450.
Okay. So then let's go ahead and add those up together.
3,932.69. Give me 1 second. I'm almost finished. Okay.
Okay, so $4.13. So it dropped. Actually, no, wait. Yeah, it dropped because why? We end up purchasing inventory at $4.05. The cost of my inventory dropped. So therefore, my average has dropped in price as well. Okay? So there you go. All right, so let's see. We're almost finished here. So again, we end up selling another 250 units on June 22nd. Okay, so we end up selling another 250 units on June 22nd. So now I got to use my new average cost because again, new quantity, new total cost. So in this case, what is my total cost of goods sold here? If I sold 250 units, go ahead.
1,034.92.
Good. 1,034.92. So go ahead and subtract that out.
Is 700. It's 2,089.77.
So, yep. So here, as you can see, it dropped 30,000th of a penny. Okay. So let's see what's next. Then June 25th, we end up repurchasing another 350 units at $4.35 with a freight of 50. So 350, 435, and 50 for the freight.
Okay, 152, 1,522.50.
Okay. 350, 425. Oh, it's actually 435. Okay. Good. Plus $50 of freight.
1,572.50.
Okay, so now that we purchased new inventory, we need to plug it in.
1,050.
Good, 1,050. Your new grand total is?
4,470.27.
Good, so as you can see, once again, because we end up purchasing our inventory at a higher cost, it increased my average cost per item. Okay, let's see. Last but not least, on June 27, you end up selling 550 units, leaving a grand total of 500 units left on hand. So, June 27, we sold nothing there. We sold 550 units at my $4.257400. So what is my total cost of goods sold here?
2,341.57.
Okay, 2,341.57. Good. And then now let's go ahead and update my inventory.
100.
which is exactly what we said we had left on hand, right? Because you still have to take a physical count at one point.
$2,100.
Okay, so there you go. There's the end of everything. Is you should have a total of 500 units at a grand total of $2,128.70. So this is moving average. Again, only difference is it is so much work, so many calculations that you have to do, and it's a lot. It's very tedious. However, it's the most widely used one for any kind of current business right now because, again, if you're going to be selling inventory items in your shop, you need to be selling them at a quick, fast rate, right? Because, again, the more you sell, the quicker the profits grow, the better your business gets, right? So in this case, right, especially when you're selling thousands and thousands of items, if you're doing well and selling them on a constant daily basis, then you are going to be needing to do something like this, where you need something to constantly calculate everything. And this is the easiest one because then you don't need to, you can disregard which batch came first, which batch came last. And second thing too is, yeah, so you can disregard that which batch came first and which batch came last, and instead of figuring out which cost was more higher, which cost was more less, you're finding something that's right in between, right in the middle. So you're not losing out too much on profits, but you're not also losing too much out to your cost of goods sold, or gaining too much profits in this case, right? So you're right in the middle, right? And again, yes, it's very tedious because you have to constantly calculate the average cost. You got to constantly calculate the cost of goods sold. You got to constantly calculate this. Where the other methods, right, we already talked about it, right? They're all stable. Once you calculate one cost per item, right, it stays stable the whole entire time you're doing your inventory. So it's a little much. It depends on which one you guys like. But in this case, then you have to keep in mind which batch came first and which batch came last. But now all you're dealing here is just one batch and one batch only. You don't have to, when you calculate your cost of goods sold, you don't have to be like, oh, this comes from this batch, this comes from this batch. We're all taking it out from one batch and one batch only. All right, so again, any questions in regards to moving average?